Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Monchkinz Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Monchkinz logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And welcome to my video guide on Relm's Lost Chapter 1000 Words Part 14 Hard Mode. Now before we do begin, I would like to apologize that there hasn't been any videos in the last week. As you guys know, I have been in Singapore, and I do apologize that I have to lower my voice. My sister is actually sleeping in the next room, and she's staying with us for a couple of days. Look, I was planning to at least upload a pull video last week, but when I was recording, well, I was finished recording the pull video, I did receive a bad news that my grandmother has passed away, and after finding that out, I just didn't feel like posting a video on that day, and that day became 2 days, 3 days, and I just thought I'm just not gonna upload any video while I'm away. And it's not like I got footage of me getting Aerith's EX or Ace's EX. As you guys know, if you follow me during these last couple of weeks, maybe in my last video I mentioned how bad my luck was with Ace's EX, and that still remains to be true. I didn't get any of Aerith's and Ace's EX during that time when I was doing the pool video, and yeah, after finding that out, I still had a lot of gems left, but I just didn't, I was in the verge of actually stop playing Opera Omnia, so I decided to just blow all my tickets, which was still over 200 I believe, and I still had like, I would say 30 odd K gems, and I just blew it all trying to get Ace's EX and Aerith's EX, and I didn't get him. Yeah. And I decided to buy gems because I was really out of it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy gems. I'm just gonna keep trying. I did get them eventually after buying the gems. After 2 more extra multi-pools, I did both get them in the same pool. Anyway, I thought I'd just let you guys know. I guess this turned out to be a small vent on my end, and I do apologize with the lack of content on my channel. I just want you guys to know before anything else. But I think I've rambled on for too long. That was about 2 minutes, 3 minutes of my life story in the last few weeks, and there's still some more bad news. I don't know. There's more bad news after that, actually, after hearing that news, but I'll leave that for another video maybe. And let's start this video. Okay, so as always, we'll start off with the weaknesses, resistances, and the abilities of the last boss, which is the Elemental Behemoth. Now, the Elemental Behemoth starts off with no weaknesses and has all resistance to all different kinds of attacks. This including melee, range, and magic-based attacks. As for its abilities, before we go through that, we do have to talk about it losing its physical and magic resistances when it takes a brave damage when attacked with its elemental weakness, and basically the above changes will revert after it using the convert element ability. So what this essentially means is once you hit it with a weakness, elemental weakness I should say, it will lose all its physical, range, and magic based resistance. And it will revert this back or bring it back once it used the convert element. So having multiple elements in this fight is definitely gonna help you out. Now as for its actual abilities, let's start off with Heave, which is a melee HP attack, Flare Star, which is a group magic brave attack, Combo Rush, which is a melee brave attack which also inflicts a speed down, Cross Element, which is a group magic brave attack. This removes the target's buffs without frames and also has a high turn rate. Next is Bark Blow, which is a melee brave attack plus HP attack which also inflicts a turn rate down. Next is the coveted Convert Element, which changes its color and grants itself an attack up in a brave region. Below level 76, which we really won't cover, it just goes from blue to green, and from level 76 upwards it goes from blue, green, red, then yellow. Now the blue color is has a resistance to the ice element and is weak to the fire element, and it will have a variable power ability, and this changes depending on what element the Behemoth is at. As for the blue Behemoth, then it will have an ice magic brave attack and also inflicts a defense down. Now when it turns green, it is resistance to the wind element and is weak to the thunder element. Variable power will change to a wind magic brave attack and will also inflict a initial brave down. Next up is the red color, which is, of course, it resists the fire element and is weak to the ice element. Its variable power will be a fire magic brave attack which also inflicts an attack down debuff. Now the final color, which is the yellow Behemoth, basically is resistance to the thunder element and is weak to the wind element. And its variable power is going to be a thunder magic brave attack, and which inflicts a max brave down. Now it's also important to note that the elemental Behemoth is immune to all elemental resist down. This includes the imperils. Basically that's what it means. The elemental resist down is basically imperils. So fire imperils like bringing Lulu, that won't work. I mean, you can still take advantage, obviously, using Lulu's fire magic base attacks to remove some of the physical magic resistance in the first couple of turns, but you won't be able to inflict the fire imperil debuff. Alright, so now that we know the weaknesses, resistances, and the abilities of the elemental Behemoth, it's time to take a look at some general tips and guides. And as always, the first one is going to be to save about 60 to 70% of your abilities on the last boss. Now this only generally really applies for new players. Older players, you can go ham with your abilities. You should have enough. This fight is kind of an EX difficulty fight, so you shouldn't have any problem if you're a veteran player and you have a multitude amount of characters that you can use and a lot of EXs as well. So if you're a new player, try to save about 60 to 70% because the boss does have quite a lot of HP. Now the next one is to bring in the boosted characters. Of course, these include Relm, Edgar, and Vivi, but if you don't have any of these characters, other characters that you might want to consider are the Warrior of Light, Cloud, Ace, Sephiroth, Vayne, Laguna, Null, Lael, Ash, Rinoa, Shantoto, Lightning, Terra, Ramza, Pain, Alize, Noctis, Jet, Ida, or Sarah. Now it's important to note these are all recommendations. Of course I can't list down all the characters that you can bring in one video, or else I'll just be telling just bring everyone. You know, you can bring almost everyone, because honestly this fight is, you can honestly bring a lot of characters in this fight. It's not very restrictive. It's restrictive in a way that you do have to bring maybe an elemental character at the start, A fire one would be, you know, ideal, like for example Jet or even Papalimo. I didn't add there, but you know, those kinds of characters that you can inflict the boss, or sorry, remove the physical and the magic resistance of the boss at the early stages of the fight, and then you can go ham on it. So in terms of restriction, that is probably the only one, but once you have that one particular character, the other two are basically a free for all. Now for the healers plus Brave Battery options, this hasn't really changed. Relm, Selphie, Maria, Eiko, Lena, Yuna, Parham, Aerith, or Kate Sith are the best options that you have. Right now, the top ones I would say is still going to be like Lena and Eiko, but Aerith did just receive her EX, so if you do have that, then go for it, go for Aerith. Selphie is still good, and Yuna is kind of so-so in terms of damage, but she is a pretty good healer, and Parham is obviously really good as well. Now for the summon, we do have three options in this one: Ifrit, Shiva, and Ramuh for the summon. I do recommend you bringing Ifrit, so if you do plan to just go ham with three characters without a fire element, use Ifrit straight away, and then you can go ham. Okay, so now that is out of the way, let's take a look at some general tips and guide for the actual fight itself. The first one is for your friend support. I do recommend bringing Quistis or Setzer. Either one is fine. If you're going for the delay tactic, Quistis is obviously a far better support. If you just don't want to get hit by an HP attack, Setzer is pretty good at that, and a good Brave Battery as well for both of them. Now the next tip I have for you guys is something that I've been mentioning throughout this video, and that's basically that the boss's first weakness is always going to be fire. If you have Ifrit up by the time you get to the boss, use Ifrit straight away to remove its resistances to all the attacks, which include the melee, range, and magic based attacks, and that way you can go ham on it. Now the next tip is going to be to use the delay tactic. Post using Ifrit to avoid the boss for having a turn. If you do give it a chance to move a couple of times, then it will change its color, and therefore you can't remove the resistances that it has if you didn't bring any other elements in your party. So this is probably the best way to go around the boss's mechanics. This was one tough boss when it first came out, when Relm first arrived, and delay tactic is actually the best tactic that I can think of in order for you to just, you know, avoid like 75% of the boss's mechanic. Now the final tip I have for you guys is to bring a Brave Battery / healer. It is a good option to bypass the resistance if you're just planning on just, you know, doing as much HP damage as you can. You do have to be careful because you do still have to do a little bit of Brave Shaving, but if you have something like someone like Noel that can use a Brave Shave without using a turn with his level 65 ability, you shouldn't have much problem with the Brave Shaving in case, you know, just in case something bad really happens. But for the most part, you can just heal through most of the damage, and you can use a Brave Battery, you know, to do the damage yourself. The other thing that I haven't listed down here is the variable power. They do come in different kinds of debuffs as well, but I don't think that's kind of a big deal unless you're really, you know, going through all the convert elements, all the different color changes. If you're having that problem, then there is an inherent problem with your party compositions. And speaking of party compositions, these are the ones that I would recommend for you to bring. And of course, the first one is going to be the boosted team, which is including Relm, Edgar, and Vivi with a Setzer support with an Ifrit or Ramuh summon. Now, the reason why I am split with the summon here is it's going to depend on you as a player. I do recommend bringing Ramuh instead of Ifrit when you're using these party compositions, because you already have Vivi as the fire element and you really want Relm to be a different element apart from the fire element that Vivi already brings. This way you will cover two of the boss's weaknesses and you can remove its resistances with either Vivi or Relm. Now the reason why I picked Ramuh is because in the color change order, the next color will be green, which will be weak to the thunder element. This way you have Vivi to destroy the first resistance and you have Relm to destroy the second resistances. So this pretty much covers you for at least quite like 6 or maybe even 7 turns, depending on when it really changes. I never really got to the point where it actually changed colors, so I can't really say from any experience at all. Now the next one is the team that you guys saw earlier, which is Setzer, Ace, and Relm. I was carrying my Relm. It only had a 15 CP, to be completely honest with you. I wasn't expecting it to do quite a lot of damage for someone who only has 15 CP. Now it does have a level 61 crystal passive, so I guess that's why it did a decent amount, plus it's boosted. So anyway, Setzer for the support and Ifrit for the summon. This time Relm was the one who broke the weakness, or the resistances I should say, and pretty much Setzer is a good Brave Battery option. I mean, it only has 3 freeze joker, but that EX is really insanely good. Ace for my DPS. Now the next one is the one you guys are seeing here, which is running on repeat because of my long introduction and I do apologize about that. Is Ishtola, Lail, and Pain with the Relm support and with an Ifrit summon. Now basically you do have to wait for your summon to be up before going to the boss, but that should be pretty easy to achieve if you are basically using the chase system. This will fill up the summon bar quite quickly, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. Now the final team that I have for you guys here are the Warrior of Light, Noctis, and Noel with us as support, and again with the Ifrit summon. This is kind of like an overkill team, honestly speaking, but the strategy remains the same as the third one. You wait for your Ifrit before going through the boss if you just want to kill the boss straight away, or the other option is you go straight to the boss, forget about Ifrit, and you know, Warrior of Light can be your Brave Battery, and Noctis and Noel, I mean, they're a pretty good DPS. Even with the resistances that the boss have, they will still do a pretty decent amount of damage, so that is completely up to you. So we are finally at the end of this video, and of course I will give you guys my final thoughts on this fight. But before that, again, I would just like to apologize with the lack of content in last week. There was a plan, but something happened, and I do apologize again for the long intro. I just feel like I owe it to you guys to explain what happened or what is happening with me right now, especially if there's a chance that it will affect future content releases. Hopefully not. I am trying to normalize as quick as I can. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, that's it. And let's go through my final thoughts on this fight, which I feel like this fight is more leaning to the easy side of things, especially if you're a veteran player. An EX level difficulty shouldn't be any problem. If you're a newer player, I would highly suggest getting 2 good DPS in your party and a good Brave Battery option, and obviously try to get as much Quistis friends or Setzer friend support as you can, therefore making this fight a lot easier. And if you follow my tips, you shouldn't have much of a problem clearing this fight, as long as you have a decent DPS, in your party and a good brave battery to back it up as well during these summon phases. Now, I guess that's pretty much it. My final thoughts isn't much because this fight wasn't much, at least for me anyway. Please remember to click like and subscribe. It really helps this channel out. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 subscribers soon, hopefully by the end of the year. If you guys can help me get there, that will be great. That's kind of what my goal is right now, and hopefully I do reach it by the end of the year. It really slowed down when obviously I went on a break, but hopefully we can rally back and, you know, get there in time. As always, leave down in the comments below what team you used to clear this fight or, you know, finish off this fight. Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Monchkinz Gaming. This is Monchkinz logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.